in 2017, my brother and I went to a Grand Prix for Magic the Gathering. It was a tournament, and the format we were playing was Modern. It was round 9, and my brother was completely undefeated. So when you're doing that well in a tournament like this, you get to be on coverage, which means wherever they're streaming the footage of this event or wherever people are watching it at, they can see you and they can watch you play. Now, this may not be a huge deal for anyone who's maybe not into Magic or anyone who really doesn't understand the draw of competitive games and the competitive scenes around them. But this was a huge deal for me and my brother. It exemplified the excitement that you can feel from getting good at a competitive game, and this sort of reward you feel like you're getting when your skill is noticed in this way. Now, my brother, God rest his soul, no, he's not dead, I'm just kidding. My brother is really good at the game, and he's been to the Pro Tour, and making it to the Pro Tour, some would say, is a bigger achievement than this, but this meant a lot more because of the community surrounding Magic and the experiences we've had. It's a little different. So over the course of this video, I'd like to explain why a moment like this would be so important to someone like me or my brother. And also, it's just cool. It was exciting. I mean, back in the day, the first day of a Grand Prix Magic the Gathering tournament was 9 rounds. Well, they're not like that anymore, so he did this cool thing that no one can even do anymore, and that's go 9-0 on day 1 of a Grand Prix. Day 2, he didn't do great, but it was really cool, and it's a moment that we'll always remember. And I think that's kind of what competitive games are about. Moments that you'll remember. There's something special about being a part of a competitive community. There's so many aspects to it that are hard to boil down. Like, some people might say they just love the feeling of victory, whereas others might say they love the recognition of getting better. And for me, if you made me, I might say it's the community, but in general, it's really difficult to simplify it. So instead, I'm going to complicate it. And yeah, this video is going to get really rambly, and sure, maybe I'm going to talk about Queen's Gambit for a bit, and maybe Queen's Gambit is the reason I wanted to make this video, but
this is my pizza party, I make the rules, so at this point gravity stops functioning in the very middle of this quirky luncheon thing.
One of the things that draws me into competition more than anything else is the learning process. It's getting better at something through effort and trying. It's learning all the nuances about something and putting them to use. And games do this better than almost anything else because they have built-in success and failure states. So you can see in real time whether you've learned what you set out to learn or not. In games, you can also, in competitive games, you can also have an opponent who you can ask directly, what I did well or what I did wrong, and they can answer you, and that is part of the learning process, part of the community teaching each other and getting better. Apex Legends is a first-person shooter, hero-based battle royale set in the Titanfall universe where you and 2 squad mates drop from a plain thing onto a map like every other battle royale, and you have no loot, so you gotta collect it, and then you gotta shoot other players and try not to die, kill them, or they kill you. This is a competitive game that really embodies the sort of learning process for me. When I started out, I was trash, dog. I played this game with my friends, and for the first 30 games, I shit my pants every game. I couldn't do anything. I was hating it because I kept just dying instantly, and my friends had to get me up every time. And so I thought I just hated the game, but my friends were playing it, they were having fun, and I enjoyed playing games with my friends, so I kept playing until it happened. I got my first kill.
This is my favorite part. Exciting.
And I understand this may sound like no big deal for other people, but it was exhilarating. A game that had been kicking my ass for the last 5 or 6 hours and made me feel like shit, I finally did the thing you're supposed to do in the game. I felt like I had kind of learned something. So I kept playing. I got more damage each game, maybe. Maybe I'd get another kill here and there. We would survive longer. We'd do better. And then I got my first win. Well, now I was properly hooked. The game had got me. It sunk the claws in my back. And then I started to care. I wanted to get better. I wanted to use the tools the game gave me to learn. And so I played with my friends. I looked up stuff online. I tried to learn. And with each game I played, I could see my progress. I could see, oh, now I've done this well. I've gotten this many kills. We got another win. We got 2 wins in a row. And no, I've never gotten anything better than gold ranking and ranked, but the feeling of getting better at the game still sticks with me because it's the one. Yeah, maybe some of you are experiences with it, or because you're gods at FPSs, whatever. I don't care. I'm not jealous. And you were able to get a kill on your first game, get a win within your first 5 games. Ooh, cool. So you don't understand what it feels like. I understand. It's fine. For me, it was this starting at 0 sort of feeling and just crawling my way up. So for me, when I reach gold and I get 3 wins in a row, that's a huge deal for me. And that's kind of this whole process of learning and getting better that I desire so much for my competitive games. Team tournaments in Magic the Gathering are some of my favorite competitive game experiences. They epitomize the best parts of competitive communities, where you get to work together to get better at something. And whenever you're a team, you each depend on each other to get better, so you're invested in the community as it is in that situation. Specifically unified team tournaments in Magic the Gathering, where your decks can't have the same cards as one another. So the preparation steps of the tournament also have a lot of community teamwork involved in them. I love them not only for the competition of them, but also the camaraderie. When you're at the tournament, you get to help each other out. They're sitting next to you and you can advise them on their plays, or they can help you out. And at the same time, you're also just kind of hanging out with your buds. Another community for competitive games that I've only recently gotten into is fighting games. And I've heard that they can be kind of toxic.
With the pop-off! That's right, there's some beef between these guys.
Sometimes, trash talk is really common. I'm sure it's kind of encouraged by some players. We can talk about another time whether that's good or bad. It's fine, it's whatever. But my experiences have been very positive. It's almost a sort of cooperative, competitive experience where players are way more willing to teach each other than maybe some other game where the competition leads them to just want to be better than one another. And so a lot of my experience with the community of fighting games has been a sort of student sort of relationship where everyone's teaching me new things all the time. And I always feel like I'm learning from a larger community of people. And it's been really fun to kind of be in that space, even though I probably never really will compete on any high level. I mean, I've only been in a couple of really small level tournaments. Like one time there was a release party for MKX and they had an impromptu tournament that I went to and I made the semifinals for, even though none of us had played the game before. It was really fun. The rules were like, you couldn't play the same character more than 1 round in a row, and the first character I played was Kung Lao, and his moveset really resonated with me, so I just kind of jumped in and started kicking ass. And I remember hearing from behind me some guy say something like, "Whoa, this guy's on some next level shit." And no, I was not good at the game, but it still felt really cool to hear that. And little hype moments like that are integral to competitive game communities, that sort of feeling that it gets you. It doesn't need to be super high level all the time, but you need a community to be able to create moments like that. Another sort of competitive community that I've been really into lately is Age of Empires 2, which is an old game. It's from like 2001 or something like that, but it's been around so long. And in the recent last couple of years, the community sort of exploded, which is partially to do with the release of the definitive edition version of Age of Empires 2 with all the upgraded graphics and whatnot. So the community started growing. But I'd really say it has a lot more to do with content creators in the community, like T90 Official or Spirit of the Law. Those are the ones that got me back into it. And there are YouTubers and streamers who kind of keep the community alive. There's a large base of fans for Age of Empires 2 who probably don't really play the game, or if they do, it's rarely and casually, yet they're so interested in this game. Those content creators get tons of views, and I think that a community that can foster that many fans who don't really play the game very much, myself included, is also really a big part of what makes competitive games or competitive game communities so enticing and fun. And you create memes out of stuff and you talk with people about it, and even if you're not playing it, it's sort of being a part of something that you share with other people that makes the community so valuable. It's like a friendship, but with a game. That's the best way I could explain it. I'm sure you're not wondering why I wanted to make this video. It 100% has to do with the fact that me, my wife, and Christian all watched Queen's Gambit 100% way through in one sitting. It was really good, and nothing makes you want to play chess faster than The Queen's Gambit, the show on Netflix. Look, it's not just because chess is cool and fun and makes you feel smart, but it's also its depiction of competition. So Queen's Gambit is about a girl named Elizabeth, who's an orphan in the 60s, who learns to play chess at the orphanage, go figure. And she gets really good at it really fast and starts playing in local tournaments and kicks all their asses, and then plays on the world stage against the Russians. It's something about the way the show depicted like local tournament scenes really sent me on this nostalgic like spiral, because it reminded me about whenever I was younger playing in local Magic the Gathering tournament scenes. I've been in the tournament scene for Magic the Gathering since I was like 10 or 11, and so it really resonated with me, and super cool, and I like the show a lot. I'm not gonna do any spoilers, so don't worry about that, but it's really good. Y'all should watch it, and it's the whole reason this video exists, because girls don't like boys, girls like drugs and chess. Do you want to hear about that one time that I semi-finaled a small tournament for a game that I had never played before? No, it's a completely different one. My Pizza Party! One time at an anime convention, they were holding a tournament in the game room for a little game called Lethal. And all my friends had played it and thought it was really good and were telling me how much I would love it, and they were saying I had to play it and I had to participate in the tournament with them. So I wandered on in there in my Madoka Magica dress and wig and hopped into the tournament and proceeded to lay the smackdown for the first couple of rounds. It was really fun trying as hard as I could, because it was a tournament, to learn a game on the spot. In the little time that I had, I was trying to understand the mechanics and figure out what the angles were and do everything like that. And it was really cool for a couple rounds until I played against someone who knew what they were doing and was swiftly removed from the single elimination tournament. So that anecdote aside, what I'm trying to say is that trying really hard at stuff is kind of awesome. And all of the examples I've given in this video so far and that we're going to talk about are good examples of how trying hard can be fun. But a real quick fun thing I like to do that kind of embodies this is playing really not good games, like bad games, and trying really hard to be good at them. Like gathering your friends together, getting some shit game or game not meant for that, finding a versus setting on it, and just everyone giving it their all and being really competitive at a game that was not meant to be competitive. And I don't mean be toxic and annoying to each other. But if everyone's on board with giving it their all, it can be some of the most fun that you'll ever have, because the stakes aren't high, but you're trying really hard anyway, so there's no letdown, it's just... and then you're fine. It's really fun. I would suggest picking up a game like Shrek Super Slam, or Beyblade for the PS1. Okay, that one's not that fun, I only did it for a little bit. Trying really hard at bad games is oddly rewarding. That's all I wanted to say there.
So I want to say I was probably 7 or 8 whenever I would go over to my uncle's house when my parents would go out for the evening. And it was here that I was introduced to the game that would change the way I play video games forever, and it's Halo. See, I never played Halo Combat Evolved. And at this time, Halo 2 was at the peak of its popularity. Console esports was also popping off in the form of the MLG, or Major League Gaming. Halo 2 was even its first hosted event. See, back then, I didn't really care if I was winning or losing in a video game, as long as I was doing the shooties and things were going bang and there was blood and, I was just getting the dopamine hit that I wanted. So the years went on. I had eventually gotten my own Xbox 360, and this is when Halo 3 came along, and my life left me. She took the car, the kids, the garage. She took the garage, dude. See, I'd always been pretty decent at shooters. Okay, I wouldn't say decent. I was pretty fucking good at shooters. There was just something different about this game. It consumed me. It started slow. I was doing fine. I was getting top of the leaderboard. I was getting a decent score. Video game stuff. Eventually, though, stuff like this wasn't enough. I needed more. I needed stakes. I needed a reason to live. So I did something that I don't usually do, and I ventured into the ranked playlists, and this is where it clicked. All the players in these playlists wanted the exact same thing that I wanted. They wanted more. They wanted stakes. They treated the game just as seriously as I treated it. If you die in the game, you die for real.
Don't you get it? If you die in the game, you die for real.
I was playing this game for hours a day, like you do when you're a kid and you get off of school and you don't do the shit you're supposed to do. Practicing was never really in the forefront of my mind, but when you play a game as much as that, things start becoming second nature. You start to know where to aim, you start to know where people are spawning, which guns are good, which guns are good. Before I knew it, I was climbing the national leaderboard. I hit top 1,000. That was something. Then it kept going higher. 800, 600, 500. That's the number after that. See, once you reach 500, though, this is when things get grueling. You start facing the same players over and over and over again. And as pretentious as this sounds, winning had become second nature at this point. Until I met this guy, girl, gamer, this gamer. Whenever we were matched up on the same team, it was a surefire win. Whenever we were matched up on opposite teams, however, I got my shit rocked. This person was just flat out better than me. They out-aimed me, out-knew where I was when I was going to spawn. They just moved better. It was a little disheartening, to be quite frank. And eventually it stopped pairing us up on the same team entirely. And, as you can guess, I started losing every game. Not every game, of course, but 97% of my games. Just flat out, just decimated. Don't get me wrong, I was still topping the leaderboard on my team, but I could not surpass the things that they were doing. I had hit the wall, the plateau, the fucking cliffside, whatever you want to call it. This persisted for, I want to say, about 2 weeks. I gave it my all, but, I just wasn't winning, and I like to win. So I decided to save my sanity and go back into the normal playlists and boost my ego a little bit. See, the difference between when I used to play shooters back then and when I play shooters now, though, is when I hit that wall, I try to overcome it. Back then, I just gave up. Now I try to think of every possible scenario, every strategy, how to aim my gun better, how to try to move better, to be better than the enemy. I'm not as good as I used to be, age and all. Reflexes kind of suck now.
Well, and that's Christian's example of a plateau. The section was called the plateau when competitive games are a plateau with our lovely visual aid.
If you don't watch that clip at least once a month, are you even a gamer? Hype is an integral part of competitive games. It's that feeling of one round to go and it's over. That feeling of, if I only draw this card, then I'll win. That feeling of, no one's ever done that in the history of Dota.
No one has ever done that! No one has ever done that in the history of Dota!
Hype is that energy that the whole thing brings, that momentum, that you can feel it in your kind of bones, in your spine as you're playing or as you're watching someone do something incredibly cool, especially when you understand what they're doing. It's part of what brings you back to competitive games every time. The community can be great, the learning, the winning, all of that can be great, but that hype, that's the drug, that's the intoxicating aspect. Competition is hype. If you're not a competitive person, you may not understand what all of this is like, and I don't blame you. I mean, for some people, competition just doesn't have the same feel that it does for others. But those of you who I don't know if like competitive games, just like playing online competitive games, always gives you the same feeling. So if you've never played in like a local tournament for a game you played, you really should. That is definitely something I feel about that. I mean, since I've been playing tournaments since I was really little, it's a big deal. Anyway, takeaway from this video. Just if you like playing a game competitively, try and reach out to become a part of its community, not in the shitty toxic way, but like talk to its players, be a part of it, see if there's a local scene. Right now it's a pandemic, so fuck. But when it's not a pandemic, if there is local tournaments, don't be afraid to join them, even if you feel like you're not good enough. It's actually kind of great. Like, you'll find players who are at your same skill level, or if they're better, they can teach you, and you can build friendships and get better that way. Doing it all alone is just, it's not the best. But anyway, yeah, or just feel bad, yeah. But yeah, I don't know, that's just some shit I wanted to say at the end of this video. Thanks for watching. Please feed me. Hold on, wait, can we turn off this controller real quick? Give me a sec, so sorry. So sorry, everyone.